So today's video is about writing equations. So what is an equation? It's a number sentence that is equal on both sides, and we've compared it to an equal and a balanced balance. How do you write an equation? You look for clue words and important information to help you write an equation. So some clue words for equations, you got to be looking for definitely those clue words that mean addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. You also want to be looking for clue words that mean there's a variable, and then now because it's an equation, that means there's going to be an equal sign. So you also want to be looking for words that mean there's an equal sign, like is, or the phrase equal to, or is equal to. So those would mean that there's an equal sign. So our first example, we want to write the following word phrases as an equation. So our first word phrase is 3 times a number is the same as 12. So we want to go through here, we want to go through this phrase, and we want to look for clue words to help us write our equation. So the first word is the number 3, and we know that's important. And then we see this word times, which also means that we're going to be multiplying something. We see a number, which we learned in the last unit is a variable. Then we see this number, then we see this word is, or is the same as, and that lets us know that that's our equal sign. And then 12 is also important, so that's also going to be a part of our equation. So we know 3 times a variable is equal to 12. So that would be 3 times whatever you want the variable to be, because they didn't tell you what the variable needs to be. So we would have 3 times, I chose y, is equal to 12, and that would be my equation. So the next word phrase is 5 less than m is 9. So first important word is the number 5. Then we see less than, which we know is subtraction. Then we also see m, which is our variable. Then we also see the word is, which again is our equal sign. And then we see the number 9, which also needs to be a part of our equation. So we have 5 less than m is, and is means equal. So 5 less than m equals 9. And we know that with less than, because 5 is less than m, that means the m would come first and the 5 would come second in our subtraction problem. So our equation will be m minus 5 equals 9. Then we have the sum of 3 and x is equal to 50 minus 4. So first we have the word sum, which is a clue word for addition. Then we see this number 3 in here, so we know that's important. And we also see x in here, and we know that that's going to be our variable. Then we have this equal to, which basically means that that's going to be our equal sign. Then we see the number 50 in here. We know we need that. We see the word minus in here, which means we're going to have some subtraction. And we also see the number 4. So we have the sum, addition. So the answer of the addition problem of 3 and x equals 50 minus 4. So I know one side of the equation is going to be an addition, and the other side will have to be a subtraction. And I know it's going to be the sum of 3 and x. So that means 3 and x are being added together, and it's equal to 50 minus 4. So my equation would be 3 plus x equals 50 minus 4. Now sometimes you'll have a word problem that you have to actually write as an equation. So it won't be quite as easy as it is if you just have a word phrase. So let's look at this example. Larry mowed lawns in his neighborhood. He mowed M lawns today. He charges $15 per lawn. If Larry made $90 today, how many lawns did he mow? Write an equation, then solve. So we want to kind of look at this like a story. And I know when you guys are learning in elementary school and even in middle school about stories, you know stories have main characters and stories have plots. And so we want to kind of look at this and envision this story and kind of see it in our mind. We see this guy named Larry, kind of picture him in your head, and we know that he's doing some different things. So the main character is Larry. So you kind of want to get a picture of who Larry is. And you might know a Larry. Make him the main character of your story. Then what is Larry doing? Well, Larry is mowing lawns today. And what's happening in the story? Well, he's mowing lawns in his neighborhood, and he's going to charge each person $15. So every time he mows a lawn, that homeowner is going to pay him $15. And how did the story end? Because stories always have an ending. Well, at the end of the story, Larry made $90. So then we have to think about, well, what's some missing information? Because something has to be missing. It's a math problem. So there is going to be some missing information. Well, what we don't know is, well, how many lawns he mowed. We don't know that. So that's what we're going to use this information to write our equation. So let's start with, if he charges $15 per lawn, well, we know if it's 15 per lawn, per would be our clue word, and per is a word for multiplication. And since we don't know how many lawns he mowed, we're going to need to use a variable for that. And I picked M, and it tells you in the problem that M is the variable. So we're going to use M to represent the number of lawns he mowed. And remember, that's the information we don't know. So if it's $15 per lawn, per means multiplication, M is your variable. So the first part of our equation will be 15 times M. And we can show that as 15M. And then we know that he made a total of $90. So that means our equation has to be equal to $90. So however many lawns he mowed, when he charged $15 for each one, he ended up with $90. So we know the other side of our equation would have to be 90. So that means basically our equation will be 15M equals 90. And so now we actually want to solve this equation because we want to know how many lawns did he mow. So when we look at this equation, we first want to write our equation, 15M equals 90. And because 15 is being multiplied by M, that means we now need to get the variable alone by doing the opposite. So to do the opposite, that means if it's multiplication, we have to use division. So we're going to divide by 15 so that M can be alone. And remember, whatever you do on one side, you have to do on the other side. So we'll even divide the other side by 15. Well, those 15s will cancel out, and that leaves us with M, and then 90 divided by 15 gives us 6. So what that means is that Larry mowed 6 lawns today. So our next example, Pam has $25 in her savings account. She has received some more money for her birthday. She now has a total of $80 in her savings account. How much money, M, did she receive for her birthday? Write and solve an equation. So again, we want to look at this like a story. So we're going to envision something happening. So we want to first start off, who is this story about? Who's the main character? So the story is about Pam. So kind of get a picture of Pam in your head. And then the question is, what is Pam doing? Well, she's putting money in her savings account. And what's happening in the story? Now, she already had 25. It tells us she has 25. And then she got money for her birthday and then put that into her account as well. And then how did our story end? She's got $80 in her account now. That's the end of our story. That Pam, when she looked back at her account, she now has $80. And we want to know what information is missing from the story. What don't we know? Well, we don't know how much money she actually got for her birthday. So that's what we want to figure out. So if Pam already had $25 and then she received more for her birthday, more would be the clue word, and that would be a clue word for addition. And since we don't know how much money she got for her birthday, we're going to use a variable for that. And it tells us in the problem to use the variable M to represent the amount of money she got for her birthday. So we know that she's going to take the $25 she already had and she's going to add to it the money she earned for her birthday. So the first part of our equation will be 25 plus M. And then we know after she added in her money, she ended up with a total of $80. So that's going to be the second part of my equation. So that means my equation would have to be 25 plus M equals 80. So here's my equation. So now what we want to do is find out how much money she actually got for her birthday. So we're going to solve the equation. So we're going to write the equation down. And then after we write the equation down, we need to get M by itself. They added 25, so we're going to subtract 25. And then whatever you do on one side of the equation, you have to do the same thing to the other side. And so then these cancel each other out, which leaves us with M. And then 80 minus 25 gives us 55. And that means that Pam received $55 for her birthday. So it's important to keep in mind that when you're writing equations, definitely look for clue words. If it's a word problem, kind of think about it in terms of a story. Think about who's the main character and what's happening, and then you want to be thinking about how did the story begin, how did the story end, and then what's their information that's missing, and that's going to help you write that equation. All right, so go ahead and teach the tiger something you learned in today's video.